of the chapter is combustion and flames. Chapter number 6, combustion and flame. So whenever we are viewing this term, the term combustion and flame they are closely related to each other. So in order to produce flames, that means your fires, combustion is required. Now combustion is a process by which flames are produced with the help of some substance. Those substances are known as your fuels. So as we start the chapter, I'll be explaining you each and every term correctly. So first we need to know what is fuel. Okay. So as our body needs food to produce in order to do some activities, like you want to play, you want to run, or you want to do any kind of activity, in order to do that your body needs energy, and food will be providing you those substance. So we can say that food is just like a fuel to us. Now if we compare the thing with machineries, like let's say a vehicle, in order for car to move, it also need some food, that is known as your fuel. Now there are various examples, like the one which you have seen. Usually the one the very common one would be your normal cars and all. So they require petrol and diesels in order to run. So those are your fuels. Now only we might think that only petrol and diesels are fuel, but they are other substance with the help of which energy is produced, and it is used for doing some work, like your coals and all. So I think everyone has been to Darjeeling and they have seen the Darjeeling toy train out there. So the toy train, it is a train which is running with the help of coal. So coal is acting as a fuel out there. So we need to remember that only things which are liquid and which is present in that petrol pump is not fuel, but in some cases there are other substances also which are fuels. Now another thing to remember, fuel can also be used for cooking and all. So you cook food at home, you use cylinders and also there are gases present out there. So in that case, your gas, you call it indhen, that is your fuel. So that makes a fuel. Now what are the uses of fuel? Like I explained you everything right now. Why are fuels required? Fuels are required, let's say, to cook food also, in order for vehicles to run, and there are many more examples out there. Now we need to classify this fuel. Usually fuel are of two types. First one, let's say it's primary fuel. As the name suggests, primary fuel, these are those fuel which are obtained from the nature. So as they are obtained from nature, there is no alteration made out there. Example would be your wood, dry leaves, cow dungs and all. So agriculture waste and all, these are obtained through nature. So this can also be used as fuel. Especially the common one would be wood, the one present at the forest. So the one who lives in the countryside, who lives at the bastis areas and all, so usually they use wood very much in order to steam the water, or in some cases, like if you have cows and other domestic animals at home, you usually cook food for them using wood. So these sources are your primary fuels. Also even your coals and all, these are your primary fuels. Then we have secondary fuel. Now these are fuel which are obtained from natural fuel. These fuels are also obtained from natural fuel, but they have made some alteration out there. They will be doing some physical and chemical treatment to this to this primary fuel, and they turn them into a different substance. For example, your petrol, kerosene, your diesels, these are your secondary fuel. These are obtained from primary fuel, but in order to obtain some chemical or physical alteration need to be made out there. Then only these are made. Usually the substance which are taken are your charcoal and wood. So charcoal and wood, they take this charcoal and wood, they do some chemical and physical treatment, like they might heat it at a very high temperature, with the help of which like in higher classes you will be studying how this petrol, kerosene are made. So there's a tube known as fractional tube, something like this. So there'll be a big tube out here, fractional tube. So this is not required for a chapter, but for your understanding I'm giving you. So wood and other substance, let's say wood is taken out here. So there is an area known as furnace. So they heat the wood out here in the furnace. They heat the wood, and after they heat the wood at such a temperature that the wood will turn into vapor, and they pass through this chamber. This is known as fractional column. So they will be making some outlets out here. As the outlets like as we go higher up, temperature is decreasing. So out here it might be 400 degrees Celsius, 300, and the temperature will be decreasing. As the vapor enters the chamber, according to its property, according to the temperature, some vapor might be liquid, like they might be condensation process might be taking at any temperature. So some of the gases, they condense as 300 degrees Celsius, some of them they condense as 150 degrees Celsius, and they keep on condensing. So according to these outlets, various of these kerosene, petroleum and diesels are formed. So that is how fuels are created. Now we'll try to differentiate. Now we'll try to see the amount of fuel in its physical state. Now the fuels which we have, they are in different physical state. So solid physical state, we have some solid fuels. The best example would be your wood, agriculture waste, charcoal, coals and all. So they are all solid in structure, woods and all you have seen. The next one, you have liquid fuel, very common example, your coal, petroleum, kerosenes and all, those are all your liquid fuels. And then you have third one, you have gaseous fuels, another example. So in gaseous fuel, usually some gases are out there. Examples, your biogas and natural gas, and CNG, compressed natural gas, very important. These are some of the example of gaseous fuel. So here the fuels are usually your gases and all. Now again, fuel can be classified in two sources: renewable fuel and non-renewable fuel. Renewable fuels and non-renewable fuels. So first one, renewable fuels. As the name suggests, renewable, what does the term renewable means? Which can be renewed. Like renewable fuels, these are, the term renewable is coming from renewable resources of energy, which can be renewed, which does not get exhausted. Like your solar energy, your wind energy, they do not get exhaust. Same way, in case of renewable fuel, we have some substance like your cow dungs and all, like animal waste, your hoods and all. So they are your renewable fuels which can be renewed. Then we have non-renewable fuels which cannot be renewed. They come from the term non-renewable. That means they have every possible chances that excessive using of this term may lead to exhaustion. That means these fuels will not be present with us for a long period of time if we are using it continuously. So this includes your fossil fuels like petroleum and your natural gases. So petroleum, they are usually obtained from underwater seas and all. So after this chapter, we'll be doing another chapter related to coal and petroleum. There we'll be studying how this coal and petroleums are formed. So this petroleum and coals, they are present, like petroleum usually it's present at the seabed, at the ground level of the sea, and those are obtained from there. But if we use excessively, there might be some point that this fuels and all, this petroleum and all, they might get exhausted. And we also have radioactive substance. Nowadays, in order to produce energy, we even use nuclear fuels. With the help of process like nuclear fusion and nuclear fission, energy is produced. But if we use these things for a very long period of time, there might be chances that they might be exhausted, and which cannot be replenished. That means in order to form this fuel, again millions of years will be taking place. The coal and petroleum which are formed, it took millions of years. The coal and petroleum which we are using right now, those are not made overnight. So it took millions and millions of years to form those coal and petroleum. So I hope the terms which we have discussed right now, I hope everyone is understanding it. Then we are moving to a very interesting topic, that is fuel efficiency. So we discussed about fuel, and we also talked that how fuel are very useful to us. Fuels are we require fuels in order to produce energy, in order to do some mechanical work. So we discuss about fuel. Now we are going to see efficiency of fuel, or let's say how efficient a fuel is. Now in order to see the efficiency of fuel, there must be some criteria, and that criteria is how much energy will a fuel produce. That is the criteria for fuel efficiency. So different fuels have different efficiency. Some of them produce very large amount of energy or heat, some of them produce very less amount of energy and heat. It depends upon the fuel, whether it will produce more amount of heat or they produce less amount of heat. Now in order to measure that, we require a term that is known as a calorific value. Calorific value. The term calorific value